and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. So when you step to me, it's like hell in a cell.
Greetings and salutations, this is Christopher Daniels. I'm talking to my main man Delzinski right now. Any video game show, any video game channel, any YouTube channel called Vintage Shizzle is indeed hashtag Daniels approved.
Yo! Alright guys, Delzinski here. Welcome to another We Talk. It's not We Talk Wednesday, it's We Talk Thursday today. And I am joined by the one and the only Professor that is Weeds. How are you doing, mate?
I'm very well. Obviously, it's We Talk Thursday, as you quite rightly said. Mainly my fault. A lot of technical issues I've been having this week, and not with the WWE Network. But I'm sure quite a lot has happened again. Obviously, following on from our CM Punk talk we had last week, he may have pulled the wool over our eyes somewhat. So I'm sure we've got that to talk about tonight, haven't we?
Yes, definitely. We will be talking about CM Punk and his deal with UFC. We're going to be talking as well about Monday Night Raw and maybe just touching a tiny bit on the Slammies. And last but not least, we're going to talk about TLC and give you guys a rundown of the matches and our predictions for the event. So, CM Punk joins UFC and now is an Ultimate Fighter. Now, I'll just quickly say first that...
I was going to say, I'm sure you haven't got an opinion on this whatsoever.
I'll just quickly say first that I don't exactly watch UFC that much, so I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't know all the politics as well that go in with UFC. So I'll look at it from a wrestling perspective. And I kind of now maybe understand a little bit why Vince may have been so aggrieved and so kind of upset that maybe this is why all the issues have started with Punk in the first place. Because if Vince had an inkling that potentially Punk was going to go join UFC and join Dana White, maybe that's why all the aggro actually occurred in the first place. And this was something that nobody really thought about, because I don't think anybody expected Punk, after doing his podcasts and being with Colt Cabana, saying that he wanted a fresh start and he was going to be doing his comic books, and no one really thought that he was going to go and join a rival company in UFC. And people say that it's not a rival, but it kind of is. So, I mean, Weeds, what did you think about the situation? Do you think it was handled right? And how do you think it now compares now when you look back to when he did his Colt Cabana podcast and sort of said that it was, he was just looking for a fresh start, wanted to heal up and feeling better than ever, but now he's going to go and join something that's even more brutal than the schedule of the WWE?
The first thing I'd say for UFC, for me, again, I'm not a big fan. I've caught it on and off, not because I'm not interested in it, more that I don't get the time to watch it. But yeah, it is different. It is very different, obviously. It is very hard-hitting. A lot of the things Punk had to say, and I'm not going to sit here and say, it is a brutal sport, because we all know it's a brutal sport just by, watching the matches that I have recently, even with the Hendricks Lawler one, even that, which was a bit controversial, but still quite brutal watching that happen. But I suppose the difference is that Punk's going in expecting to get hurt, and I know there's been a lot of people out there saying already, well, if he doesn't like it stiff in WWE, he's not going to like UFC. But they are completely different. But that is the main problem here for me, is that they are completely different. It's different skill sets, and obviously we all know Punk, even listening to him on the podcast that he's done recently, is very much into his UFC, and there's enough guys out there like Austin, again, his podcast this week, saying, Punk isn't just interested in this is kind of like a life obsession of his. I suppose the next bit that comes up is that he's not just walked into any MMA event, really. He's walked into the Top Dog, which is very similar to what his problems he had with the WWE were, which was, these stars coming back in and having these marquee spots, which is arguably where he's walking into with the UFC, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, it's kind of contradictory, doesn't it, really? Because used to get annoyed at guys like The Rock coming back and hogging the limelight, but he's almost
it's different.
Well,
but similar.
he's kind of done something very similar. I mean, he's got a 0-0 record. He's never had one single match, and he
hasn't even got a license at the moment. Just to make that clear, he hasn't got a license.
He's not exactly of the age where he's going to be, a young up and coming talent. I mean, he's much older than probably a lot of the UFC guys that start out. So it's all to do with money. It's all to do. Yes, Punk may be very well interested in becoming a UFC fighter, and it's a passion of his, but at the same time, a lot of cash is going to be involved in this, and it will all be associated to the name of CM Punk. It's a huge thing for UFC. It's a huge promotional piece on their behalf. So, I mean,
that's what I wanted to add, that it is a massive thing for UFC, and if anything, we do know that Dana White does like sticking it to the WWE whenever he does get the chance, because there is Punk. Punk is going to get paid well, no matter what kind of level he's at and how he actually does. And I'm not technically versed enough with UFC to actually say how I think he'd do. But he's going to get paid well, and UFC are going to do well out of this, because I wouldn't say they're necessarily taking money off the WWE directly, but just having a marquee name that is worldwide known, just like CM Punk through WWE, arguably, that you can't get more publicity than that.
Don't you find it rather interesting that the two probably, well, I wouldn't say that Punk's going to be one of the two of the biggest names. I wouldn't say that he's yet one of the biggest names, but when you look at how high profile things get with the likes of the names of Brock Lesnar and CM Punk, it's kind of interesting. Both ex-WWE guys, although UFC like to almost distance themselves from being even, associated to something like sports entertainment. So I find that quite an
pro wrestling. Come on, pro wrestling. Don't go down the Austin McMahon route. I don't agree with Vince on an awful lot.
No, but you see what I mean. It's kind of again a very interesting thing that two ex pro wrestlers, Lesnar again, current, actually are probably the biggest guys that could potentially be in UFC. So, like Lesnar, I don't personally.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. It's that kind of draw name, and outside of America, I mean, I know UFC is getting bigger and bigger all the time, and we've had a couple of big shows in the UK, and I know it goes in other countries as well. But WWE is still the bigger product, even though it is a radically different product.
I find it quite interesting that that he has been given, obviously, the opportunity to go in 0 for 0. In terms of him actually fighting, how do you think he's going to fare up? I have a bit of a reservation just on the basis of his age. I know he obviously trains and does like jiu-jitsu and all sort of mixed martial arts, but this is a big step for somebody that's never had to do that at a young age. I mean, Lesnar went when Lesnar was almost as such in his prime, and in I would say Lesnar was in pretty mint condition then. If Lesnar goes back now, which there's talk about,
it's for money more than anything else now.
Exactly, and that's the bit that I kind of think, how will Punk actually fare up in UFC, considering that he's banged up. He's admitted this himself. Even though he's recovered from injuries, he says he feels fresh and better than ever. I mean, he wasn't happy that he was banged up in the first place, so how would he fare up now?
Well, I suppose, so on the back of that, he's already had so he's been off since January, so he should be pretty healed up by now. Age is obviously a massive factor. How he'll fare? Until we know, I suppose, who he's going to be fighting, that's going to be probably the precursor to that. Lesnar went straight in, and I think he lost his first fight, and he was fighting, I think it was an ex-UFC heavyweight champion. Obviously, Punk's not going in at that sort of level. It's probably going to be a welterweight sort of level that he's looking at. Perhaps lightweight, but I think more welterweight. How do I think he do? As I said, I don't, until we know who it's going to be against. I don't think it necessarily even really has to be a household UFC name, as it were, because I think, as we were already saying, Punk draws enough on his own name, but equally it's got to be credible. So it's the right fight. for Punk getting that right, whether or not he can get an actual license, because, you know, getting someone who's got a 0-0 license through in what is probably the most brutal sport in the world is, I would imagine, going to be a challenge. So whether or not where that fight will be held, because we all know the Nevada Commission can be a bit funny with handing out these kind of licenses. And it's how many fights he's going to have. I think he's signed up for 5. So that's probably a 2.5 year period you're probably looking at. So by the time, I reckon, you're looking at Punk perhaps being finished with UFC, you're looking at him being very near to 40. And I personally, I think these fights, when he does get in the octagon with whoever it may be, they will take their toll, and I think the camps themselves will take their toll enough on them anyway. Because, as I said, it's probably the most brutal sport you're gonna see, and it is drastically different. He may be begging out for the kind of the house show schedules come the end of the first round in the octagon. But no, I mean, I hope he does well. Because I think the better the WWE superstars or ex-superstars come off, it does wonders for the WWE, and that is ultimately why yourself and I are here. We're here to talk about wrestling.
Yeah, I'm kind of very interested to see how he gets on. I'm obviously going to watch his first fight, and that's what I mean, and that's going to be the biggest draw for.
That's when I started watching, when Lesnar went in.
Well, but that's it, isn't it? That's going to be one of the biggest things. A lot of wrestling fans are, and this is probably why Vince is going to be pretty pissed, because a lot of wrestling fans will jump over to UFC to watch Punk's first fight. So that's the big draw, and that's probably the reason why Vince.
It's expensive as well in America. If you want a pay-per-view, it's like it's the equivalent of buying a WrestleMania or something like that most of the time. One of the big events.
Well, I was in Vegas when they had a massive fight going on, and that was a couple of years ago. And just the atmosphere around it at the MGM, it was kind of mental. It was really, really. They had like the weigh-ins going on and everything, and it was just the atmosphere's humongous out there. So it's
you never
massive.
know. You never know. We might be staunch UFC fans in a couple of years, as long as you can keep Bruce Buffer away from it. I can't deal with him.
I don't know. It is a bit brutal. That's my thing on it. And
I had no idea you were so sensitive.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I'd say on it, and like I say, I do hope Punk does do well. I hope he does. I mean, if he said that it's one of those things he wanted to test himself and push himself to the limit, so he's definitely going to get that. But
absolute props for him. I mean, there's not a lot of guys out there who have the stones to do what he is currently going to put himself through. And God blimey, he's only just got married to AJ Lee. I don't know how he got her permission. No,
and I just kind of hope that it is something that goes well, because I think, as you said, these sort of fights will take their toll, and I don't think there is going to be a way back. Not just from management, but just in general. I think if he gets beaten up and battered and
he's not marketable as much.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if he gets beaten up but gives it his all, he gets the wins that he wants here, and he does well, and then decides, do you know what? Actually, this is a bit too hard hitting. My body can't take that, and then he thinks maybe it's time for me to make the move back. I just don't think it can happen now.
Very tongue-in-cheek comment, but if Ryback took 20 years off his career, God knows what the UFC is going to do.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, like I say, I hope he does do well. I hope he does get on and clear up if he can there. But from the WWE's point of view, I kind of get, like I say, this was the side that we didn't actually know about. Do you think that this was going on behind the scenes and they got a bit of a hint that this was going on, so hence why they were so hard with Punk? If you can imagine, maybe Punk's been talking to Dana for quite some time.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was quite adamant in the podcast about the non-compete clause that WWE put in his contract. And it turns out it was in there for a bloody good reason. They don't want the stars that they've made crossing over, because you don't want to invest the amount of money that they probably did invest in Punk, and whether or not he got the creative push or the time off or the respect that he thought he was due, it's irrelevant at this point, because this is a marketable asset that WWE have pumped probably hundreds of thousands, millions maybe into this guy, and at the end of the day they've built up a guy. Yeah, he was CM Punk before, but they've put a lot of time, a lot of programming into this guy that is going to appear on a massive rival for what they're trying to do. Whether or not, as we said, it's exactly the same, it's still a rival. So no, you're not going to like that, but I don't think we're going to get like the Monday Night Wars or anything like that.
No. If
we might do.
If we did, the UFC would smash the shit out of the WWE from that basis. But the only thing I'd say to you is something that was brought up on the podcast on Colt Cabana, that he doesn't like being called Phil Brooks. And Colt Cabana was more aggressive about this subject than Punk. I think Punk was saying it in relation to certain fans, but Punk was like, no, Cabana was like, no, calling him Phil Brooks is disrespectful. You should be called, CM Punk. So when he steps into the octagon for the first time, is he going to be called Phil Brooks or is he going to be called CM Punk?
Yeah, it'll be CM Punk. As again, it's marketable. And I suppose the main thing, if you want to get into the nitty gritty of it, is he was CM Punk before he was at WWE. They won't own the rights to any name or anything like that, and I can't see him signing away at any point during his WWE tenure. So no, he'll be CM Punk, I would imagine, completely. He may be CM Phil Brooks Punk, but I'd imagine it's going to be CM Punk.
Yeah, I watched his UFC interviews at the event. I thought he came across pretty well.
Philip. You never know.
I thought he came across really well. I thought he did genuinely look excited about the prospect of what he's doing. I just think that when we first talked about this, and we talked about it before we even knew about this, I just thought he was going to go away and do his comic book stuff and do promotional pieces on that.
I thought he might commentate on UFC or something like that, or give colour, like a bit of colour commentary on it. But I didn't think he'd actually be doing it.
No, so to me it was quite a shock to find out that he did. I mean, I think you actually told me. So I got a message from you saying,
"Yeah, I woke you up on a Sunday morning."
Yeah, so Punk's joined UFC. I was like, "What? Okay, go and check that out."
Bullshit.
Yeah,
I think I got that.
So yeah, I mean, hopefully it all comes through good. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Definitely going to watch his first match whenever that will be. So yeah,
Wrestling.
So we're done with UFC. We're stepping out of the octagon, and
you've got Transformers on the brain.
And we're gonna step into the 4-sided ring, not the 6 sides of TNA. But they got a new logo. Did you know that?
I liked it. I don't see what all the heat is about the new logo. I like that they've actually got a network that's actually interested in what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, that's what I completely think. I think that they're working with someone that wants to go hand in hand, as opposed to Spike almost being the dictator. I mean, talk about another promotion, MMA. I mean, that's what TNA was a feeding ground for
Bellator.
For Bellator, yeah.
Well, it sounds like Skeletor's brother. Little He-Man reference there.
Be very interested to see where Bobby Lashley goes from here. I mean, with the Spike deal, did that relate to him being tied to Bellator, or?
Well, they've said he's coming over to London in February when we're going. It is February, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
So
we're going to TNA, aren't we?
Yeah. Knock. Wakey. So yeah, he's coming over in February for that. So no, I loved what they've been doing with Lashley recently. On our little TNA tangent that we're taking here. So no, I'm actually, I don't tell anyone, but I currently enjoy that product a lot more than I do WWE most of the time.
Yeah, well, I was gonna make a video about this last night, but yeah, I thought maybe we'd just talk about it for 5 minutes here on We Talk, and all I was gonna say was that
Our listeners know what 5 minutes is with us.
Yeah, Vince McMahon did say on his podcast with Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, he did go and say that we're not talking pro wrestling anymore, we're talking sports entertainment. Well,
I'm bloody glad TNA's pro wrestling.
Yes, and that's all I'll say on that subject, is that at least TNA are focused on wrestling. I mean, they've had Full Metal Mayhem matches with the Wolves, the Hardys, and the Dudleys. They were absolutely awesome.
Match of the year candidates, those were.
Yeah. We've seen great matches with Bobby Roode and Lashley, Austin Aries in the mix as well. They seem to be building a good world title division.
Amazing what you do when you take Bischoff and Hogan.
Well, that's it, and that
think tank.
100%. And I think many American people wouldn't have seen this as well, but their British Boot Camp series has definitely done a really good job over here of establishing some really good British talent that, although they didn't get TNA contracts, I am actually hoping that in the future we will see them on a TNA product, because they could build a tremendous roster the way they're going. And if they keep focusing on wrestling, all they've got to do is get this product right with Destination America and have, all I'd say is the biggest issue with TNA at the moment is branding, which seems to be like they're fixing that with the new logo, and the way that their arenas look in terms of general events and pay-per-view events.
They got to sort the pay-per-views out.
Yeah, I would say
go back to the old system.
I would say that they should have if they should just do the bare minimum. They should just go for 4, or maybe if they're at push, go for 6. And when they do them, each one needs to look special. And if they can just do that, change the ring ropes, change the apron, change the setup, the look, and for their basic shows, I think that their entranceway needs to be back how it was originally when they were in Nashville. Because if you remember that, they used to come out the it wasn't like an octagon shape. It was like a circle.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I can't describe it any better, but that
WCW Nitro.
But they used to come out of there, and it used to look really good. It used to look completely different. And then they, when they went on the road, they started doing their shows. They just kind of went all WWE-ish, and the big video board behind it, all boring. And so, I mean, I'm very hopeful that if Destination America can work with them and they do it right, then this product could start making a bit of a comeback, which would be great for wrestling, because we've all heard about people not being able to grab the brass ring, but there's nowhere for them to go. So there you go.
No, definitely. And again, as I say, it's a lot more pro wrestling orientated than WWE is at the moment. And arguably the main thing that TNA's been struggling over, again, nigh on a decade, is a consistent identity. And it might be something that we're finally getting if there is a legitimate channel in Destination America interested in them at the moment. Because when it comes to pro wrestling at the moment, no matter how good WWE is, and that is still why we watch wrestling, is the WWE. That is how most people get into it in the first place. But with their, like we said, the lack of identity that they've got, and whether it's PG or whether they're appealing to the kids, or they're trying to be smart with the smarks, or the marks as it were, at the fan, they've got such this convoluted identity in the WWE at the moment that there is space to go in there if you've got a proper hot pro wrestling show. And I think Jarrett is going to be right in there with Global Force Wrestling in the new year. And TNA, again, what they've been delivering in the last three or 4 months, they've been on the right track. And it's surprising actually that we haven't spoken about it as much as we probably should have. No,
we definitely should have covered it a bit more. I think TNA are on the right track. It sounds like Dixie Carter's actually got her head screwed on a bit better these days, since she's got, like you said earlier, the likes of Hogan and Bischoff out of her ears. And
exactly.
I was going to say this, because I think I've said it on a few commentaries before. I do point the finger quite a bit at Hogan and Bischoff, but ultimately Dixie Carter was the one that, signed off certain things to be done. And I've always said that if you give Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff the keys to the car, then they're just going to, you're just going to drive off and absolutely wreck your product. And
you can understand the thinking behind it, but in actual terms, it doesn't work with those guys. You can understand the marquee names, but no, you can't give them control of creative. The same way WWE do not give them control of creative in any way, shape or form.
Exactly. So, I mean, I hope that this is the start of something really good for TNA. We've all been waiting for this TV deal to get sorted, and I do think that if they can get cracking on this. I don't know how they're working in terms of arenas, whether they've got a home like they did in Florida, or whether they're going to be on the road. But if they can get that sorted, then all the best to them. I'm very excited about the other wrestling products around. We've got New Japan working with Global Force. We've got TNA trying to rebrand and re-establish themselves. And then we've got Sports Entertainment, which we're going to talk about now. So,
yeah.
Monday night.
Should we start with Raw and the Slammies?
Yeah. I'll probably be more positive than you will in some elements, but
of course you will. This is me.
I mean, it was all right.
Should we talk about some of the Slammies?
one
See,
thing
I've put you down again. I've only mentioned what was on the programme this week, and they made a big hullabaloo about the Slammies, but what did we make of the Slammies? Because they seem to have more Slammies than they've had matches in the last 3 weeks.
Does it have to be on Raw?
Well, they haven't got enough time to kill on SmackDown, obviously.
Couldn't they just put it on the WWE network? Because I haven't got that. So.
Oh my God. What a great idea you've just come up with. They could have had like a week long of Slammies, and we wouldn't have had to go, these 5 Slammies have just suddenly been handed out and no one knew what the hell they were for. But the actual Slammies themselves, there was a ridiculous amount of Slammies, wasn't there? I mean, how many Slammies are we logistically and properly looking at? Because for me, the Slammies were great when Owen Hart was, he had his Slammies. That's when the Slammies
that was good.
Were good.
That was good. I'll say
so how many? We must have had 30.
I'll say to you, if anyone's out there and they're playing the drinking game, what they should do is drink every time that you say Slammy, because I think that could probably work quite well. I think you've already done it about 5 or 6 times. So
Slammy. This
could be very interesting. Yeah, I don't know
the word Slammy.
I I don't know how many times I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't even know how many times they had a Slammy, but I kind of thought, well, this is Raw, and people have turned up to watch a Raw show, but what they're actually getting is just, a
torrent of bullshit. The whole time. Even one of the just before, yes. I just want to talk one particular Slammy, which was either the OMG Slammy or the most extreme moment of the year Slammy, was when JBL said, "I was surprised you weren't on there, King, because you like a stroke."
Oh yeah,
it's like. I was like, this is PG, right? I'm going to have to pick my jaw up off the floor, because we're doing the King and heart attack jokes. That's great.
But did you hear? Well, that might have been in addition to something else that he said, because earlier on, I think he started marking out. JBL started marking out to somebody. I think it was when...
he loves Steamboat. Enough of him.
It was Big John Laurinaitis came out, and he's like, "Oh, people power," and then he goes, and then the King goes to him, "Calm down, JBL, you'll have a stroke." And then JBL goes to him, "No,
it was that.
I won't. That's your gimmick."
I was like, yeah, that was the draw. That is the draw. The draw. I can't talk. I'm so excited over this. It was just oh. We're going there, are we?
That was something. Let's just put it that way. I mean, as I said before, all the things that WWE don't want to do, but they're quite willing to have talk about, make a joke of people having a stroke. I mean,
it's not funny.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So let's actually talk about some of these awards that were given for wrestlers during the year of 2014, aka the Slammies. Superstar of the year.
Well, should we just say first?
No.
Do you think it was staged or not? Because I mean, obviously they said that.
I think some of them were Roman.
Because that's one of the annoying things, isn't it? That I've got a feeling it was staged. I've got a feeling these votes were definitely fixed for the majority. But
I thought it was an amazing coincidence that Roman Reigns just happened to be there, and as he pointed out, it was not by satellite this time. He was actually in attendance, like he was preordained to win a Slammy, maybe, I don't know, win the Royal Rumble, and maybe, I don't know, go on to headline WrestleMania, and maybe, I don't know, beat Lesnar.
Go on. What was the first one you wanted to talk about then?
Well, I wanted to talk about him. I mean, he wasn't my superstar of the year, and there was a couple in there. I think Lesnar was in there, Cena was in there, Ambrose was in there, Wyatt was in there, and Rollins was in there, and Reigns was in there. Now, half of that list has been missing for half the year, and I get that Reigns is probably... and this is what we talked about before, is probably going to get a push of epic proportions going into 2015. But Superstar of the Year, not for me. I don't know what your thoughts on it are.
I don't.
I've left you speechless. Check me out.
I don't really know why he was Superstar of the Year. I mean, he had the eliminations in the Royal Rumble. Fair play to him.
And the Survivor Series, but that was 2013.
Yeah, but bar that, that's not a lot else. You've got to look at, since the Shield split up, who's really picked up the ball and run with it. And you probably say Seth Rollins, and you definitely say Dean Ambrose has had a great run. So,
well, Dean Ambrose is getting over, even though he's losing at every pay-per-view, which is an amazing feat.
I would have probably said it was down to one of them. And then, like you say...
Seth for me.
Like you say, I mean, you've got the beast of a year in terms of Brock Lesnar destroying The Undertaker, destroying John Cena... But he's not allowed to be Superstar of the Year?
No, he even finished off CM Punk. So
there you go. I mean, it's just very confusing. And as we say, it kind of leads back to the old mockery that this was predetermined. And
they've been quite adamant
WWE.
To say that it's not. But there is no way Roman Reigns, in any logical world, was winning that.
I'll tell you a couple of things that I did like about the Slammies. I liked seeing Big Johnny back. Big Johnny Laurinaitis.
People power.
So,
I did like the fact that Hugh Jackman's angle got recognised on Raw for best guest star of the year, even though that was Magneto, aka Damien Mizdow.
Yeah, I liked him being at the. I liked Mizdow and the Miz, his segment with Seth Green, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Got it right. Wow. Yeah, I did like their segment, and I liked the fact that the Mizdow is now every now and again dropping some slightly cheeky little things behind the Miz's back, like "Call me." I quite like
that was good. That was good.
So they are again, they're planting that seed that potentially these two are going to go their separate ways. At the moment, I think that what it is that the Miz is very nicely accepting that Mizdow is completely over, but always likes to re-establish that he's the man. So I like that. I like that, and I think it works really well.
There was one award that I was very happy with.
What was that then?
That was hashtag of the year, of course.
Well, I don't even think
RKO out of nowhere.
Wait, are you serious? I see. Look, this is how much I paid attention to the Slammies. There wasn't really a Slammy for that, was there?
Hashtag of the year.
That's the thing. This is everything that's wrong with wrestling. Hashtag of the year. Why? No, surely hashtag of the year has to be. Surely it's got to be either Bagwell approved or Daniels approved.
Well, I think they just did it out of spite more than anything else.
Mother truckers.
But I don't know. What did you make of this Raw to wind your way into your last pay-per-view of the year?
Just a bit underwhelming, really. I kind of...
Did someone sedate the crowd?
Well, you're probably referring... I tweeted about this earlier, actually. You're probably referring to Charlotte Flair and her match against... who was it against?
It tells you everything. It was Natalia.
It was. And that summed it up, really. I mean,
that was
that's
the most
how
excited I got
was.
all night. That Charlotte Flair was on Raw. You know, they're bringing an NXT person up early because we know it's normally the night after WrestleMania, and then they did what they did.
Well, we talked about this before we came on air, and I said that the best way for Charlotte Flair to lose this match and not, be disrespected or be made still look good going into the NXT TakeOver pay-per-view was have Sasha Banks come out, interfere, and screw her over, so to speak. That has some detail to go into the feud that's going into the pay-per-view.
You mean build a wrestling angle?
Well,
on a wrestling show.
I think it would have worked perfectly, but instead they did the old the cheap victory, and she just kind of came off with nothing. Not even anything really to do with her having her event at NXT TakeOver, having her big match. If they're going to move her up, she's moving up on a loss now.
Yeah, it made no sense to give on. Probably the Raw, if anyone is going to watch a Raw, it's always the one before the pay-per-view. And you're going to see this great... And, I mean, she was so good in the match and so physical.
Those chops were wicked.
Woo!
Woo! They were. That crowd just sucked. Sorry.
They were awful.
If you were there. But it's got to be said.
No, if you were there, you got some explaining to do.
If this is my big issue, like I say, I said it earlier in a tweet. People want this product to get better, and people want wrestling to come back into it. And you go and put up, she's not a diva, she's a women's wrestler. You go and put Charlotte Flair up into
2 women's wrestlers.
Yeah, you put her up into the main roster, and you put her in a good match. They have a good match, and the crowd was just silent through the whole thing. All they were doing was doing woos because of Flair, and that's kind of sad that they can't appreciate the match. There was no applause, there was no nothing. I remember when we had Adrian Neville come over here. I think it was at SmackDown, and that was the best bit of the night. I mean, the crowd was well hot for NXT. So, I mean, every time you get these guys go up to the main roster, the crowd should be electric for it, because this is the future, and these are the guys that actually, if you go and watch NXT, are putting on a great show and embarrassing the main roster on your Raws and your SmackDowns.
I've got a funny feeling that Vince does not book NXT.
I've got a funny feeling that Tribbiani books NXT. So, I don't know. It just was, that would kind of annoyed me. I was watching, I was like, hello, any pop? No. Do you know what? Do you know what really pisses me off? And it's probably just because of his gimmick. Tyson Kidd, God.
He had a nice little like monster hoodie thing on this week.
Yeah, he needs to sort that out. And is he paid to promote Beats by Dre or something, or?
I don't know. He might be right, guard. The amount of times he was sticking his armpit in Natalia's face.
Oh, there's so many jokes that I could come up with now. So
I think we're in agreement. I mean, I think you liked the end of Raw, didn't you? With the run-ins building up into what is the pointlessness of SmackDown at the moment.
No, I did. You didn't, but I did.
Well, you see, I don't know. As I said to you, this just feels like a 3-hour Raw that they've condensed into that they've made into a 9-hour Raw over the last 3 weeks. It just feels like, we've talked about it before, getting ready to press that reset button. And I think that's what we're all waiting for, is the night after TLC, where we know, well, if we don't, we could probably come on to it, but we know we're going to see Reigns. We know we've got Orton coming back. We know we're just waiting for all this stuff to happen. And everyone's just like, come on, let's just get TLC out of the way.
Do you know what I really liked about that end segment? I really liked Eric Rowan. I am getting more and more used to like really liking Eric Rowan. Let's talk
about Big Red.
I'm just thoroughly enjoying. I'm a little bit pissed off that they've already stuck Rowan and Harper in a match already. That was worth having for a pay-per-view at some point.
They pissed away so many things on this Raw. It's unbelievable. And they didn't, or they did or they didn't, if the way you look at it.
But Eric Rowan in general I just thoroughly enjoying. Like, I like that they're now turning into that he's a bit of a clever dick as well. I kind of like that, but I just like the way he is in the ring. He just is a bit of a beast. He likes to brawl. The match between Harper and Rowan was pretty good. It was a bit of a brawl again. I like that, and I like the final segment that when it looked like everything was going wrong. He comes out like a beast, and it takes 2 men to take him down. It doesn't take 1, it takes 2, with the Big Show and Harper getting involved as well. And even then, I thought he did come across good. I like his music as well. I don't get.
Are you digging it now?
I am. I just like it. I like it. I like everything that's going on with Eric Rowan, and that's kind of weird, but
Man Crush.
I like his beard as well.
It's like you call him Big Red. You got posters of him on your wall, haven't you?
Maybe. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy what they're doing with him at the moment. They definitely did what we said. They thought about what they were doing with him, and then they thought, do you know what? We're making a bit of a mistake here. When they were trying to play him off like a bit of a dumbass, I think they've backtracked on that now.
And the reason we like it is because you're getting a kind of a wrestling character in a kind of little bit of a wrestling angle, and they're actually building it up with some kind of substance and not just shoving, would you say, the same thing down our throat every week?
Yeah. He could be a genuine monster if they keep pushing him. They don't make him into a laughing stock like you were just trying to do in the first place. Just keep going the way you're going with him, that he is a bit of a monster, and he can do some serious damage. The step segments with him have been really good, and that's what I liked about the final segment, was some of the spots in there were really decent. My favourite spot has to be Dolph Ziggler getting pancaked through that table by Harper.
That looked like it hurt.
It was so good. In general, Ziggler sold like $1 million, like he always does. He sold the Big Show punch. He sold the table spot. It was just, I like all of that. And I even will give props to, you can record this now. I'll even give props to John Cena for the attitude adjustment that he's done on the Big Show in, recent weeks. I mean, particularly this week, because that looked like it was a freaking struggle to get him up this week. And he still did it, and he nailed it. And that is the only time ever you're going to hear me praise John Cena. And it's the only time ever you're going to hear me say something good about Cena.
Well, I'd say the main thing about Cena in the last 3 weeks, would you say he's arguably been working in the background a lot for a lot of the build up to TLC?
Yeah, but that's good.
Well, that's probably why you're praising him then. I mean, there are a couple of other things, and we'll come on to them in TLC as well, that were good about this Raw. And again, I think it just goes into the 3-hour thing. And surprisingly, New Day was not one of those things, but I would like to cover them in depth at some other point. I really liked the Jack Swagger Rusev angle again. I know it's 6 months that we've been properly waiting for this to happen, but it's proper wrestling angle again. Coulter's obviously been beaten up. He's got the broken leg, and I like the way that Swagger came out and tried to deal with that. So it was good. It felt real. Again, I like that bit. One bit I didn't get though. And one bit we haven't surprisingly spoken about yet was the show opened up with Dolph Ziggler versus Seth. Seth went over quite quickly with the outside interference. But, I mean, we're talking about these guys finishing the Survivor Series match. And, of course, I'm not expecting them to have Match of the Year on Raw or anything else. But I didn't really get what they're trying to do with Ziggler. I know he got conned out the win, but why put this on maybe a week before, 6 days before the pay-per-view is going to happen? Because it just made. I mean, we don't know what's happened on SmackDown yet this week, so he might come over a little bit stronger. But just watching Ziggler get his ass kicked again, and we spoke about when he was coming off of the Survivor Series win. This his proper time? Because at the moment it still feels like start stop with him, and he's still probably the one of the best things to watch on Raw. But I'm still unsure of what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, why was that a match on Raw? I mean, this is a match that should be a pay-per-view match at best. Again, it's so frustrating, the amount of things that they're giving away. And I know this sounds
We only got it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I know it sounds kind of stupid because it's like, they're giving it for free and instead of paying for the pay-per-views and watching it. But these are pay-per-view matches. I said this, I think, when we had our commentary with Smack Talks.
Because they didn't even advertise it.
I said when Smack Talks was on, that's the sort of match that I want to see in the future. That's through a long feud, a build up to it, not just given away for free on a Monday Night Raw. And like I say, it just felt like they could have utilised this much better. And as per usual with WWE, not thinking about things. Rowan and Harper's another one. They don't think about these things. These are two guys that were together for a long, long time, and you go and just ruin that whole momentum by having a match.
No, I mean, we always say in wrestling, they always are quite keen to stress that wins and losses don't matter, but they do. Yeah, and at the end of the day, the one thing I remember more than anything else from this Raw is that Dolph Ziggler lost again.
Well, we talk about that when we talk about pay-per-views as well. The amount of pay-per-views people are going into and losing, like your Bray Wyatts and your Dean Ambroses.
I was going to say, well, that brings us on miserably, doesn't it, to TLC and our predictions.
Didn't you want to talk about New Day before we go?
Oh, they're getting mentioned in TLC.
Oh, are they?
They're on the prelim show. So you've got New Day, and they're obviously working some sort of demolition gimmick without any kind of belt. So you've got Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods. I think New Day,
What?
Go on. I'll let you go first because I'm obviously going to be extremely negative about New Day and the fact that they look like 3 Thunderbirds dancing around.
I don't really mind their attire. I just don't really get it.
New Day, fuck off.
I think
I'm miserable, aren't I?
I think Big E looks really awkward in the group. I think he's the one that looks most awkward.
Do you remember Big Mama's house?
With Martin Lawrence? Classic film, yeah.
He's Big Mama.
I don't necessarily get it. I think Big E looks very awkward. Like this isn't really his style. I mean,
they all do.
Big E's style was like a Smash Mouth style. We used to,
This just makes me think that Vince has found some kind of, gospel church during his weekend days off, and like, you know what? He's like, Stephanie, this is a great gimmick I've got here, and he's like, go with it. New day, and you're like, no, Vince, no, none of them want to do it. None of them think it's a good idea. That thing you give them at the end of each week, a paycheck. That's why they're doing it.
This is like when he wanted Batista to say that he was originally original gimmick style was. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly. This is every Aldo Montoya. This is every Jean-Pierre Lafitte wrapped up into one with the New Day.
Yeah, it's just
everything I hate about 1990 to 1995 wrestling.
The Portuguese Man of War was well good. He used to have tennis racket.
Just incredible alone.
He used to have tennis racket grip wrapped round his head. That was what it was.
I hate New Day with so much vigor and passion. I just hope that Gold and Stardust beat the crap out of them and that we never have to see them again.
But what's the point of the name? What does it mean, New Day? I mean, what's new about it?
What's the point of building these silly bastards for like 2 months?
But what's new about it? Like because they're not new. There's nothing new. It's not really building to anything. I'm completely befuddled by it.
Befuddled.
Yeah.
I'm amused, befuddled.
And for that matter, let's might as well touch on the other tag team there. Stardust, I used to like. I don't like him so much anymore. I find why is he Red Dust now?
He's just weird on purpose.
I still like Goldust. Yeah,
Goldust.
Goldust seems to just think, oh, for fuck's sake, what's he doing now? I mean,
there's weird, and then there's Stardust.
Yeah, the first week he had blue face, but now he's got fucking red face paint. I mean, Goldust
the tippy toeing out at the beginning of the entrance. I hate it. But saying that, I hope Gold and Stardust go over.
They were kind of better as a face group. I thought Goldust and Stardust. I kind of thought they were better.
Oh yeah, but you gotta like the Usos because they're the face group.
Yeah, but what about?
I'm getting into deep issues here now.
So in general, actually, let's put this out to everybody. What does New Day mean to you?
Hashtag, please. We talk.
Because I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I actually thought originally they were going to come back as sort of like a nation and be a bit heelish, but no. I don't think the crowd even get it, because when Kofi Kingston's going, New Day, they're just looking
I just
at
hear
going,
New
what
D,
the
New
fuck?
D. That's what I'm expecting the cat to come out or something.
The Grumpy Cat?
No, Cat.
Got told in the comment section that the Grumpy Cat is female.
Yeah, but Michael got it wrong, didn't he? If Michael Cole can get it wrong, we can get it wrong.
Someone's been doing some serious overtime in analysis there, but
Grumpy Cat didn't even win fucking Animal of the Year. That bastard Bunny won it.
Oh.
Anyway, let's stick on the pay-per-view now. So I was going to say there's probably some matches we don't want to cover in as much detail as we do others, isn't there? So the first one is obviously on the prelim show, which is the New Day versus Gold and Stardust. Considering I'm not even acknowledging that the New Day exists as an entity in any shape or form, I am picking Gold and Stardust. Hold
on. Aren't they like tag team championship belts anywhere?
No. Come on.
No, I'm a bit confused. Where's the belts?
You know where the belts are. Last pay-per-view. Are you telling me you don't watch the product as regularly, or have you just forgotten with all the good stuff that's been going on with the Miz and Mizdow?
Oh, fuck yeah! Oh, wicked!
See, this is what WWE has been doing to us recently. They are killing brain cells.
Oh, man. That is like, whoa. Jesus.
But you have to sift through all the bullshit that has been happening in WWE recently to actually get to the meaningful stuff.
That's what.
So I assume you're going Gold and Stardust too.
No, I'm going for the New Day. Because there's no way that this faction can lose this early, surely.
But it's Big E and Kofi. Their main event player, Xavier Woods, who got squashed when we saw him last by Mark Henry in a minute and a half. Apollo. Yeah, so, well, we disagreed on the prelim show, which I'm sure, not to be a smart ass, but neither of us will be watching.
My mind has just been blown because, yeah, you're 100% right. And I like marked out when they picked up the belts. But I think it's because the gimmick between the two of them is so good at the moment, I've just completely forgotten about the tag belts. Wow.
Easily done.
Holy moly.
Right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Says these are our quick fire ones. Yeah. Whilst we're catching Delzinski up with what has happened in the WWE in the last 3 weeks.
I'm frantically
See what
scrambling.
I told you it was like a long 9-hour extended Raw that could have been 3 hours. This is what they've done to you in the last 3 weeks, building up to this really quick pay-per-view. Right, interesting one. We haven't actually mentioned this at all. It's Fearless Nikki versus the. I'm gonna put the question again. The departing AJ Lee in what is a rematch for the Divas Championship. Where do we see this one going?
Do you know what I think is going to happen? I think AJ Lee's going to win the belt, and she's going to leave the WWE with the belt, sparking another feud with Vince McMahon.
Well, I like your booking. I see what you're trying to do there.
And she's going to go to UFC as well.
What, and beat the shit out of her husband?
Maybe.
I'm going Fearless Nikki.
Yeah, I'll probably go for that as well, to be honest. Yeah.
Right. Well, we've covered those two really quickly. Next one. Where do you want to go next? Do you want to go singles? Do you want to go tag match?
Let's go for tag match.
Right. Well, it is the champions. Champions, Dale, of The Miz and Damien Mizdow versus the Uso. I forget which one. Who one of them? Because one of them has personality now.
Jimmy
or
Jay.
Jimmy or Jay. The one that's married to Cameron.
That one.
So yeah, this has got a little bit personal with the Miz and the Usos, and you throw in his fictitious agent, who's obviously working wonders for Mizdow. Do we see the reigning and defending champions of the Miz and Mizdow retaining their belts, or are these going back to the Usos?
There's no way that they're dropping the belts just yet.
They're not falling out yet?
No, it's too soon for them to fall out.
I bloody hope it's too soon for them to fall out, because I don't want either of them disappearing into the singles wilderness.
My biggest worry,
mid-card in WWE at the moment.
My biggest worry is when they do get to that stage, when they do decide to split these two, is that the Miz is going to get Mizdow is going to get the raw end of the stick again. Mizdow needs to use this as a springboard to go to bigger and better things
against each other at the end of this.
Yeah, but he needs to make sure that Mizdow doesn't come off looking really weak, because you could see that the Miz could just put him down, you know? And I think that what they need is they need Mizdow to move on to become more credible, but funny at the same time, and hopefully pick up an odd belt here or there in terms of their singles competitor. Because I love Mizdow. I think that he's actually a good wrestler and a good talker.
But I like the Miz as well. I think the Miz, I used to hate
I do like the Miz. I do like the Miz now.
But since he's come back on the last one, when he came back and Jericho interrupted him, I've loved everything the Miz has done. It's like, again, we talk about proper wrestling. This is proper wrestling, what he tries to do, where he's got the gimmick with the face. Absolutely love the Miz at the moment, and I can't wait for these two to feud, because I think it is going to be really good stuff in 2015. So yeah, I'm going Miz and Mizdow to retain the belts.
Same. Here.
Right. Well, we know this is the TLC. But we did not know this was the TLCS event, did we?
Tables, ladders, chairs, and now stairs. Woohoo!
You could
Who thought of that?
Tampa.
Who got a pay rise for coming up with that?
Right. Well, where do we see this going? Because we've obviously got Big Red. Hate that nickname, by the way, JBL.
Well, Kane's not in this match.
Yeah, exactly. So we got Big Red Eric Rowan versus The Big Show. Surely this has got to be an Eric Rowan win, yes?
Yes.
Well, we covered that really quickly.
Well, the only reason why I'm saying that is because you should go check out my WWE 2K15 simulation of the match. You might be surprised. I'll link it in the description box below. But yeah, I want Eric Rowan to win this because I am an Eric Rowan fan now. He's got a beard that's ginger, just like me.
Right, going on to another match that I obviously can't wait, and I've got a funny feeling this will be positioned this sort of time in the card. I know you're looking forward to this one as well, and that is, of course, Ryback versus Kane. Sorry, I had to do that.
They could just knock each other's head. This is
Come on, stupid.
Isn't this like a chairs match? Yeah, chairs match.
This is a chairs match. Yes, this is indeed.
So there'll be no head chair shots. So kind of defies the point of a chair match. So
do we give Kane a prayer?
No, Ryback has to win this on the basis that he did such a shit job at the last pay-per-view. He really needs to get some sort of momentum. To be honest, the Raw crowd was actually wanting Ryback. So that was the only bit they were up for, was chanting "Feed me more." So maybe he's getting over.
Well, maybe they didn't. Maybe they weren't chanting for Ryback. Maybe they were out of hot dogs or something.
Yeah, probably.
So we're both going Ryback?
Yeah, go Ryback.
Yeah, I can't see him losing. Now, contentious one. Harper versus Dolph Ziggler in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, which should never have been taken off Dolph Ziggler in the first place.
The reason why I'm making that long noise is because this is going to hurt.
You don't know, do you? You don't know.
Well, either way, this is going to hurt one of them now, because you go and give Harper the belt. If he loses it, then he looks like a really bad champion. He hasn't had the belt very long at all. And if you
there's got to be a winner, hasn't there? Because it's a ladder match. They can't do their normal shit that WWE do, where they have a no contest.
Ziggler will win this because
He has to.
I look at the stipulation and I think it falls into Ziggler's hands, and maybe Harper can play on that after. That, it was a ladder match. That's not really my forte. If it was like a Gator roll match, I might win it. But
no, I completely get it, and that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. And I think, to be honest with you, if Ziggler can't win his own kind of match, it doesn't speak a lot for Ziggler going forward into 2015, does it?
No.
So we're both on Ziggler, Team Ziggler there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Is Rusev going to pick up his first loss against the All-American Jack Swagger?
I've already seen this before. Why do I want to see this again? This is
because it was awesome the first time. They didn't let him go long enough.
Yeah, but this is Cesaro's spot.
Cesaro's not even on the card.
That's
can moan
my
about that
point.
another time.
Cesaro's spot has been taken by a match we've already seen. So yeah, Rusev's going to win this.
We might put the card come SmackDown, because they do all kinds of weird and wonderful things in SmackDown.
The match will be good. But I would have liked to have seen Cesaro face Rusev. But no, not allowed. Vince.
So we're both going Rusev.
Yeah. Do you see Jack Swagger winning this in any way?
If Maybe if they're really serious, because they seem to be stalling somewhat with Rusev, and there was a lot lauded about that it was maybe going to be Kurt Angle coming in, and that's obviously not happening now. So it's where does Rusev end up? Is he destined to be the WrestleMania card with John Cena, or are we going to see this loss? That's where it's going.
I think Rusev lost all his momentum when he joined Team Authority, because that's not Rusev. Rusev hates everything. He hates America.
He's like us.
Yeah, but that's what his gimmick was, and he compromised all of those things when he joined and worked. And Stephanie talked to Lana like she was like a bitch, and I thought Lana should have turned around and said no, and just they should have
shut up.
What would have worked really good in that Authority match is that if Rusev walked out on the Authority, because they would have lost power anyway, and it would have made a blind bit of difference.
No, it would have been good. I suppose it would have put him over as the ultimate babyface, but it needed something doing differently, or maybe a collision or something like you're saying.
Or he cost one of the guys. He eliminates one of the guys. They have a go at him. He walks out.
Like
Bad News Brown used to do in the Survivor Series.
Every match that he was ever in.
That's what I mean. So he's kind of got a bit rubbish, hasn't he, recently? But hopefully they can reestablish this in this match. I I don't know. I don't know who's going to topple his so-called streak. Yeah, that obviously. It's so rubbish, isn't it? He needs a new song as well.
Yeah, well, he's needed one of those for about 10 years, so I don't think we're getting that anytime soon. So we're both pro Rusev by the sound of it. Well, I'm more pro Lana than anything else, but that's probably for a different podcast. So the two matches then that I'm actually looking forward to, and have been on an awful lot of house shows over the last 2 to 3 months. I suppose the semi-main event, unless they do put it on last, will be Ambrose versus Wyatt in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. Now, everyone said this has been a bit hit and miss, how this has been built up.
That match should be last.
It should be last for me. Again, they should be last. And the only reason they're not going last, I'll come on to in a minute. But I'll suit the pay-per-view. Have no fear. Cena's here. We went bottom there for a minute. If you don't know what bottom is, it's a BBC sitcom from the 1990s. We just went very bottom there.
Google it.
You can Google it.
Google it. Richard. And Ed. Oh, can't say his last name.
Yeah, don't say his last name. So now you got to Google it.
Google it.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose versus Wyatt. Now, there's been a lot of conjecture, I suppose, of whether this has actually been a decent build, because they are getting a lot of time. I like everything that these two have done, from the build, from Hell in a Cell, where you had the entity coming out from the ring and Wyatt crashing through. The only thing that was a bit pants was that we obviously got a very shit match at Survivor Series that was building for this match. So I'm expecting an outcome in this match.
Weren't you a little bit worried about that Dean Ambrose had obviously been smoking weed with RVD in the ambulance when he came out on Raw?
That was the best ambulance ever. I didn't know. I thought he'd smoke the rocking chair that he broke or something along those lines.
Either that,
that is an awesome ambulance.
Either that, or they'd already refrigerated him, thinking he was dead, and he came back to life and burst through the freaking ambulance door. I had no idea what was going on. Why was it so smoky in there?
I don't know.
You don't know, do you? No one knows. I want to know what was going on in that ambulance.
Ambrose was getting freaky with something. But that aside, where do we see this match going?
It's another one that's a problem, isn't it? Really, let's be honest. It'll be a good match, but it's another one that's a bit of a problem, isn't it? It's the same with the Ziggler Harper one. It's whoever you let loose.
This is good where we've got this, because they need to make a decision with some of these guys.
Who won last time round?
The tables, the chairs, and the ladders.
Oh yeah.
No, Wyatt won by disqualification.
I think Ambrose is going to win this.
Really?
Because
he needs it more?
No, he doesn't. I don't think he does. I've told you. I think that Ambrose is like bulletproof at the moment because he can take losses and everyone's so behind him. I mean, have you heard the reaction?
And for that reason, I'm going Wyatt.
when that music hits, that the creaky ass one. That when that music comes on, the crowd just goes mental. He can afford to take more losses than Wyatt, who's still a little bit, although he's got a good feud at the moment, still a little bit stuck in no man's land.
No, I think he needs to win.
So where does he go? Where does Wyatt go if he wins or loses? If he loses this, he's really fucked. If he wins this, I still could not tell you where he goes.
If you want Wyatt to ever get taken seriously as a character now, there is only one match you can build him for, and you know which match I'm talking about. At WrestleMania 31 is Taker. That is the only. That is where, and you let him have a victory over Taker at WrestleMania 30. It's not going to be Sting Taker at WrestleMania 31. It's going to be Sting Triple H, because we know we're not getting that at the Rumble.
You know why I'm doing these no's?
No.
Because it makes no sense logically to have that match at WrestleMania, because the only match The Undertaker should want at WrestleMania is a rematch with Brock Lesnar. And if he doesn't want that, there's no
we've
point
given
in
our
coming
dream
back.
scenario of that, where he wins the belt. And...
But if he doesn't want to avenge, losing his streak at WrestleMania, what is the point of coming back? And that's I know this is off subject, but what is the point?
He didn't even know what day of the week it was when Brock Lesnar beat him.
But he has to look, you do not.
No one's seen him since.
You do not come back. You do not come back to face someone else. You come back and avenge that defeat. He might avenge it at another event, yes, but I would say that it should be Lesnar Taker 2 at WrestleMania, and this time Taker wins, and then the belt.
Like I've told you, back with wrestling.
I've told you, cashing in wise, that is perfect for Rollins to capitalize and do the job that needs to be done, and he then is the world champ, and everything works, and we've got a new era in the WWE. Undertaker can set sail into the sun, Lesnar can go UFC, and we're sorted.
And wrestling is the better product again, because obviously we've had a wrestler beat a UFC fighter, because that is ultimately what Lesnar is now. He is a prize fighter. So yeah, that's what we would like to happen. But what I think will happen is we are moving towards a Wyatt Taker match at WrestleMania. So for that reason, I see Wyatt going over here.
Yeah.
But that does leave the question. I think you raised a very good point, is that Ambrose is somewhat bulletproof. So it doesn't matter. After this feud with Wyatt, if he doesn't win, he needs to start winning quickly.
I want him to feud with Cena.
I think that is probably the best feud for him after this.
And I want him to... I don't care. Well, he's going to have to probably be... He's not going to be a heel because they'll cheer for him. So he can feud with Cena. I mean, he can be the White Knight.
He can feud with New Day.
I just want Cena to lose. It's almost.
Yes, I know you do. So you've gone Ambrose. I'm going Wyatt.
I'm only going Ambrose because I think that's the WWE logic.
Well, they don't have logic. They just make things up as they go along.
That's why I've gone with Ambrose.
We've been through this. So that brings us on to the proper semi-main event of John Cena versus the Slammy Award should have been Wrestler of the Year, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, but he did get Slammy in the end.
He got a lot of Slammies. But
just one note of the Slammies. Whose idea was it to give the Slammy to Sting and not have Sting there to collect it? Did you want him? I mean, just stupendous. Don't mention Sting's name unless he's there, because if he's not going to be there to pick it up in some shape or form, you've just hyped someone. It's a big deal. When you mention Sting's name, people are hoping he's going to be there, because Sting is a big deal. He is just as big deal as a Lesnar is coming up on Raw. So
I don't get why Sting can't be on TV more regularly. He was on TNA every frigging week for 10 years. So I don't
Special attraction.
Well, what is this bullshit? I can't deal with this for an awful lot longer with WWE, to be completely honest.
Special.
Yes, very special.
It's like Grado.
Grado, we're seeing him at the weekend.
I'm looking forward to this now.
But we'll come on to that shortly, I'm sure. So, Cena, Rollins, winner, please. In a tables match. If Cena loses, he will no longer be the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Never going to happen.
When you're saying this, I've just got such a big smile on my face, because I'm like, this would be so good if Rollins wins this, because he'd have two chances at it then. So he'd have the number one contendership, and then even if he loses that, he can cash in and then take the belt anyway.
Do you know what would be unique?
I love that.
Is that if he had that number one championship contender match, had the fight with Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, went through the wrestling match 20 minutes, got intentionally disqualified, because you've never seen this before, laying him out with chairs, everything, and absolutely just beat the piss out of Lesnar, and then just pin him, cash in there and then. Yeah,
I mean, that's what I mean. If they go down this route and give him the extra, I don't know what it is, call it a credit, I guess. Give him an extra credit to have a match and then cash in as well. It works really well. It's like a new dimension, a new dynamic. But
it's different, yeah.
But it ain't going to happen, I don't think.
No, because Randy Orton is going to interfere. Seth Rollins is going to get RKO'd, and John Cena's going to win.
Can't Randy Orton RKO Cena as well?
It should. If we're going to go proper, what Randy Orton's character was, he should be hitting everyone with RKO's.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to do Cena a favour, surely.
Or is it more personal with Rollins? Well, are we both in agreement that Orton's going to be involved in this match? Or maybe is Reigns going to be involved in this match? Or are they both going to be involved in this match?
Oh, either way, it doesn't really vote very well for Seth Rollins, which is really disappointing, isn't it?
As long as he comes off strong out of this match and he looks good and he continues what he's been doing, he can't, for me, come off losing at Survivor Series and then getting absolutely hammered pillar to post by Cena in this. I think Cena will win, and we'll have Lesnar Cena 3/4 at the Rumble, and then hopefully a cash in. But Rollins needs to come off strong again on this event.
You sound like you're underestimating Noble and
the Mall Cops.
Yeah,
Never.
Mall Cops. Yeah, because they'll play a part. They're both going to get
so.
AA'd, aren't they?
Oh yeah, totally. So, winner, please, Delzinski.
Seth Rollins.
Dick. I'm going John Cena.
We can only dream. We can only dream. It's a new day.
Yeah, he's not going to finish the year losing a pay-per-view. Come on. He just went out third on his team at the Survivor Series. He's not going out that way again, 2 pay-per-views in a row.
He's in a downward spiral. He's never coming back from it.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Right. So I think we covered the whole card. I don't think we missed anything.
Don't think so. I think, guys, if you want to get involved in the predictions, let us know via the comments box below. Definitely want to get your views on this because I think we've been quite logical, unlike the WWE, with our picks because we seem to have thought quite about the future as well, which the WWE never does. So I want to get your views on it. Weeds will want to get. We want to know what you think's going to go down at TLC. I don't know. I'm optimistic.
Well, I'm glad one of us is.
So yeah,
joking. I am obviously looking forward to this. I'll be completely honest. I'm actually looking forward more to NXT tonight and the pay-per-view that they're doing more than I am TLC at the moment. But I'm hoping that TLC might surprise me at the weekend.
Yeah, I don't get to watch this one live, so I'll be watching it the next day. So I won't be complaining about spoilers like some people do.
No spoilers, please.
But yeah, tonight NXT TakeOver, very very exciting. Looking forward to Sasha Banks winning.
I'll take it, yeah. It's never Sasha Banks never going to win.
Love Sasha Banks. She's awesome. She's the boss. She's like the boss. If Dash and Delzinski had a partner, that would be it. Yeah.
Well, I was fine until that.
I was like the coach. Yeah, and then obviously Fergal Devitt tonight, aka Finn Ballor,
aka Prince Devitt.
He's bringing the face paint. I'm adamant. I just uploaded a video earlier about it. Go check that out. Link in the description. But yeah,
and Kevin Owens.
Oh shit! Yeah. Ah.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Now you see why we're more excited about NXT. Well, everyone's got to be more excited about NXT than they are TLC.
Tribbiarchi booking. That's what I mean. All about the Tribbiarchi. He's just the man. It's really good. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good event. Every time they have a takeover, it's awesome. So, and I only talked about the main event. Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville. Did you see NXT last week?
Please don't bring them up to the main roster yet. Leave them in NXT. I like them there. They're good in there.
That heated feud. I mean, that is storytelling. That whole rivalry.
It's wrestling. This is wrestling.
Absolutely brilliant. So I wonder if you pitch the questions to Triple H and say to him, "What is NXT? Is it sports entertainment or is it pro wrestling?" Let's wonder what he'd say.
You need to have a look over his shoulder to see if Vince is first.
You're fired.
So, I was going to say, well, we've covered TLC in a great depth, and we got quite an interesting weekend as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we got a jam-packed wrestling weekend. We're going to another FPW event, and I've got to say, the card last time round was really, really good. But I'd say that this one's probably even more consistently good because we're going to like a full day event. We're not just going to like an evening show like we went to last time. This one's
We're going to be proper drunk.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. But I've got to say that the guys that are on this card, I mean, we've got almost like the whole British boot camp lot. I would say it's probably the lot. The main event is Del Rio versus Mighty Scurll, which is going to be good. And as well, we've got
Harry Smith there.
Yes. Who else have we got there?
Oh, there's loads there. There's Drew McIntyre. Or Drew Galloway.
Drew Galloway. Mufta likes him. He's already tweeted me and said, he was a bit jealous of it. So,
and of course, the only Grado.
Yeah.
If you don't know Grado. Grado. Google him again. He is a Scottish wrestling legend.
Gotta say, I really at first didn't like Grado, but the more I watched TNA British Boot Camp and I've watched a few things online with Grado, I actually just am beginning to really like Grado. Like,
no, he's entertaining. He's not the most technical wrestler in the world, but he's very entertaining.
But like week on week, his arguments with Al Snow and then again, he's a little element of seriousness and stuff. I like Grado now. Warming to Grado.
Who else have we got? We've got obviously my toilet buddy, Chris
Masters. Chris Masters going to be there. The British Bulldog's son,
Mason Ryan, Rob Terry. There's and the one we like is Shah Samuels.
It was good last time.
It's going to be a cracking event, and we will be talking about Imagine next week as well.
Yeah, it's going to be good. That's on Saturday, so that's going to be really good. So it's like a jam-packed wrestling next few days because obviously you've got TakeOver tonight, FPW at the weekend, and then rolling out with TLC. Yeah,
I think we're out.
I think we are.
We're done.
I think we are. Guys, let us know via the comments box below what you think is going to happen at TLC. Let's get your views on NXT TakeOver as well. Team Sasha Banks, want her to win, and Team Ballor and or Devitt or whatever you want to call him or whatever or Kenta, I don't know, Hideo Itami, I don't know. Yeah, there you go. But let us know by the comments box below what you think is going to go down on the wrestling weekend. And Weeds, do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, well, I'm already going to go and get ready for the Jingle Bell Brawl and our meet and greet with Alberto Del Rio. Until next week, guys, have a good week.
Yep. Same from me. I'm going to go and jingle my balls. See you later, guys. Bye.